So this is way before Prophet Muhammad is born.
Okay.
Now what happened was that there's his grandfather called Muttalib. Muttalib had a dream about Mecca, about Zamzam. I don't know how much you know about that.
No, really.
Out of that history, he had a dream, and then the Zamzam was open, and then he feels like God spoke to him in his dream. So he opened it, and that's what happened. They had a Zamzam water coming out. This is different from what Hagar started from the beginning when she was looking for water.
Okay.
This is just expansion of the Zamzam.
All right.
So this kid, Muttalib, when he did that digging at Zamzam, he found some gold and other stuff that was hidden over there, and he feels like his dream came true. Now, when the water came in, the people of Quraysh wanted him to, okay, you know what? Why don't you make business out of this water? And he said, I had a dream about it. I can just go ahead and make it a business for. It's a God who allowed me to do this, and this water is for everybody. That's what he told them. It was a dream.
Right.
Now, the tribe of Quraysh did not like the idea, so they wanted to. It was almost becoming an issue, like a fight.
Right.
After 5 days, they realized that it was God who sent Muttalib for that. So they didn't attack him.
Okay.
Out of that, they didn't attack him. He was so convinced that this spirit of God of Hubal is working.
Okay.
So he vowed to sacrifice one of his sons when he gets to 10 sons. Now, Abdullah is one of his sons.
Right.
He has 10 sons now. After he got the 10 sons, the Hubal was waiting for the 10th son when they grow up. Now again, I told you the arrow showing who to be sacrificed.
Right.
And the arrow showed Abdullah, which is Muhammad's father, to be sacrificed.
Right.
So as they put him, his father Muttalib took him to almost sacrifice. But people around him say, how are you going to send your son to be sacrificed? He's the most smartest guy among your family. He's the most good-looking admirer. So they try to convince him, try to find a better way instead of sacrificing your son. Those times when it's a sacrifice, you're ready to do it. And then it came to his mind to go look for a woman, a divine woman. And a divine woman came up with an idea, said, okay, you know what? Now, if that's the case, put your son, Abdullah, who was supposed to be sacrificed, and put 10 cattle.
Right.
So anytime the arrow shows, and do the arrow again.
Right.
If anytime the arrow shows Abdullah, and you, the Muttalib, don't want to sacrifice your son, you got to add more cows.
Right.
He did that many times till 100, because he kept showing with his son to be sacrificed.
Right.
Until the whole thing went to 100 cows before the arrow went to show cows. So all those cows were slaughtered and everybody had a chance to eat. That's why Abdullah was not sacrificed. Out of that, the father took him and then gave him a wife. That's when Muhammad was able to be born. That's right. That's one of the sacrifices that we have, that in Islam we wasn't allowed to be doing human sacrifice.
I know this goes back to the mystery system, but how did traditionalists know that the blood used in sacrifice yields desired results? But you almost explain it, you know. You almost explain
That's exactly what the question is about.
Right.
Regarding Muhammad bin, that's the reason why he really disgusts. He really don't like the idea of idols. Not only is forbidden in the scripture, he took it personally. Because he wouldn't be around.
Yeah, he wouldn't be around.
He wouldn't be around today. We were talking about. He was supposed to be sacrificed.
Right.
He wouldn't. So these are the reason why he's really upset. And when he went to Mecca, threw all these idols, which are about 360 idols, threw them all out because he disguised them. He disguised this since he was a kid, actually.
In Islam, there's a word called Kaaba. There are even holy cities named Kabbalah. Can you give us a historical lesson on this?
Yeah, that's very interesting. I like to talk about that, especially Kaaba. To my Muslim brothers, African Muslim brothers and sisters, when it comes to Kaaba, you have to understand it quite different. It was built by Abraham.
Okay.
And in the scripture of the Bible, scripture of the Quran, talked about Abraham went to Egypt.
Okay.
The one unique thing about this story is that none of the scripture really talked about what did he study. Even though they say about him going there with Sarah, denying that he's married, in both scriptures said about it, but nobody really breaks down what did he study
Right.
in Egypt. What he studied is one of these, the Kaaba.
Right.
Circumcision is one of them,
Okay.
because he didn't know about circumcision. Now the word Kaaba is an African word,
Okay.
which is two words. We have Ka and we have Ba. Let me start with Ba.
Okay.
Ba, our forefathers have a symbol for Ba. It comes in like a hawk
All right.
with a human head.
All right.
So basically what our forefathers trying to explain is that when it comes to a human being, you have Ba in you, which has to do with divine,
Right.
spiritual. This
Okay.
soul is spiritual. Basically, you can do anything you want to do. However, for you to be spiritually healthy and be spiritually strong, it has to do with the head,
Okay.
which is intelligence. You cannot, I don't care how much prayers you do, how many churches you go, you cannot get spirit without intelligence.
No.
It has to come with intelligence. That's the purpose of our forefathers having a hawk with a head.
Right.
Means that the hawk can travel and go anywhere with the wings. However, he has to have the head.
The mind.
That's right. So that's where we have the Ba. Then we have Ka. Also, it's part of every human being.
Right.
To be creative. Whatever you create, your wisdom is Ka. So our forefathers have it a symbol where a human sitting and there's a square on top of the head.
Okay.
Because anything that we create on earth is square.
Right.
Mostly anything we create is square. Example is like Alibaba, if you heard of Alibaba. When he flies with a prayer mat, it's square. But when it's on top of it, that's Ba. When you talk about Ba, it's 5. That's the same thing Freemasonry also have.
Right.
Freemasonry symbol is what? 5 and 4. 5 represents the divine of Ba.
Right.
Which is you human beings 5, you understand? You are compass. Now look at Freemasonry, the compass. That's their symbol.
Right.
Which what? Represents you as a divine individual. Anything God created on earth is round. Human beings, snake, tree, whatever that God created on earth is round. So that's where the compass comes in the Freemasonry. And our forefathers have it Ba. And then we have Ka for the square. In Freemasonry, they have a square also as their symbol. When you know about Prince Hall, the great Freemasonry,
Right.
one of his lodge, what is that? Lodge 459. So every human being, you have the 5 as part of you, and you have 4 for the creation that you bring on earth. Now the same thing applies to Kaaba. When Abraham built the Kaaba, the pillars is 9.
Okay.
Which is full human being.
Right.
And before they put the stone on top of it,
Right.
the stone is square. Now, when you square and you go around the Kaaba for your circumambulation,
Right.
you add a 5, and you go around the square, it gives you 9. This 9 is very important. When you look at the Western world, they have a liberal. 9 is every human being. In the Freemasonry, we use 9 because it's very easy to explain in the Freemasonry today's world. 9 is very important because you are the part of the 5 and 4. As a divine individual, you can also create.
Right.
This is a religion that our forefathers have. It comes with a symbol of Ankh. We have an Ankh which I always have in my neck. When I show it to my Muslim brothers, sometimes they don't understand. The Ankh has nothing to do with Islam. It has nothing to do with religion. This is life.
Yes.
This is a religion of my forefathers. For you to be able to reach God or Allah or Amore, you have to understand life.
Yes.
What you are, who you are. Then from that identity, then you get closer to the God.
And the accounts called Ankh,
which means life.
Which means life.
It gives the same meaning.
Right.
It gives the same meaning. So the Kaaba, when Abraham built it, that was the purpose of that building. He got that education from Africa when he was in Africa. Abraham didn't come from a dream or God told him go build Kaaba. It was a study he studied.
Right, he studied.
And he brought it to his son in Mecca. And he told his people, this is what you guys have to believe in. Before you build something for people to live, you must have an idea of what you brought. And this is what he brought. So when you look at the forefathers, Ka and Ba, it's the same definition that we have in Islam of Kaaba. But today, you see Kaaba is a little bit different.
Right.
It's high.
Okay.
Because lack of understanding the science of what Abraham did. Secondly, it's covered. It wasn't supposed to be covered. Because, again, Abraham studied when he did it, he wasn't covering that because of the Ra. Anything we do, we have to make it open for the sake of Ra. Even in Islam today, old mosque, when you build it, you don't cover it up. It's for the sake of Ra.
Right.
If you go to the Jewish Jerusalem today, when they do where they kiss their stone, it's not covered. You always have to give sacrifice to your God of Ra.
In my Balkaviku tradition,
Yes.
and Balkaviku means worshippers of obelisks.
Okay, okay,
The prophetic deity is called Bakolko.
okay.
And the prophecy is based on interpretation of symbols. How is prophecy done in Islam?
Actually, they don't have a history like that in the sense of when it comes prophetic.
Okay.
That's one thing that I want people to understand. The peninsula, the Islam peninsula, they don't have any history.
Okay.
They don't have an old tradition.
Right.
This is a lawless land. This is a land that few people from other places came and gathered. So in the rules of tradition, they don't have any. For the sake of Muhammad, who came and brought it to them,
Right.
happens to be the only prophet that they can really call his name in prophetic. We don't have like Africa where we have any king or god that we have rituals we have to follow. They didn't have none of these things in their time. That's one of the reasons why they always assume that anybody's ritual is haram. You understand? How can you have my pyramids or the Sphinx that was built by my great forefathers, and now they're telling me it's the father of horror, because father of war, everybody should ignore it. But yet, this is my forefathers. So if I'm a Muslim, this is something I would like to ask, how come something my forefathers did? I share the same genetic with them.
Yeah.
I share the same mind with them.
Right.
What they eat is what I eat. So for you to say it's wrong because you do not understand it, I'm confused on that.
Mind-boggling.
It's mind-boggling.
Right.
I'm a Muslim, but I have to add, to be a good Muslim, not necessarily you have to speak Arabic. You don't have to call yourself a Muslim then to be a Muslim. These are names that were there before Muslim.
Right.
These are language. So for me to be a good Muslim, I have to involve my tradition. I have to involve my culture, who I am. I have to speak the language that God gave it to me. There was no scripture saying when I give birth to you in Ghana or I give birth to you in Liberia, go ahead, ignore the language, ignore all the sources that I gave you in this, and go to somewhere in the desert and follow that tradition.
But how are you going to survive?
How are you going to survive when the language is different? Everything is different. I respect, I'm a Muslim. But you can't call yourself a Muslim because you wear jalbab, because you speak Arabic, or because you call your name Ibrahim, or you call your name. That has nothing to do with it. It's acceptance of one God.
Right.
I don't care what formula you do, it's one God.
Yes.
It's a spiritual force on earth. And that spiritual force gave you a language. He gave you a name. He gave you a history.
And a belief system.
And the belief system, all you got to do is follow. And from there you grow. Chinese people do the same thing.
Yeah.
The white people are doing the same thing. How come we, the only Africans, are confused of taking somebody's religion and we even taking their tradition as part of the religion? When you, every nation have a tradition. Every society have a tradition. How are you going to ignore your tradition and tell me speaking Arabic or name yourself Arabic is a way to go to heaven? That's ignorance. Very ignorant.